What's the hardest decision you've ever had to make about school closures? I never thought I'd be the principal who had to shut down a school when the district announced a 30% budget cut. They told me either my elementary school or the one across town would close. Both served underprivileged kids, but someone had to make the call. I spent weeks crunching numbers trying to find impossible savings. My secretary found me asleep at my desk most mornings. The school board wanted a recommendation by Friday and Thursday night. I was still torn. That's when Mikey, our janitor's son who hung around after hours, walked into my office. He was drawing on my whiteboard a picture of our school with a giant red X through it. Everyone knows we're closing, he said without looking. My dad says the other school has newer stuff. My heart sank. How do you feel about that? Mikey, he shrugged. This school is closer to the shelter if we go to Westside. Mom says we can't afford the bus pass. I stayed up all night rewriting my proposal. Next morning, I recommended closing my school instead of Westside. The building was newer. The facility's better logistically. It made sense. 3 months later, I was helping move boxes to our new consolidated campus when Mikey appeared. "You're still our principal," he said, surprised. "Of course." I smiled. "I go where my students go." He hesitated, then handed me a folded paper. It was his drawing from that night, but he'd erased the X and drawn a bridge connecting our old school to the new one. Dad says, "You fought to keep the free bus program," he whispered. Never thought I would be the principal who had to shut down a school. When I first walked through the doors of Lincoln Elementary 10 years ago, I swore I would fight for every child, every teacher, every staff member. We weren't the biggest school in the district, nor the newest, but we were family. Every mural on the walls, every scuffed up desk, every patched basketball net told a story of kids who deserved more than the world had given them. Then came the letter from the district. A 30% budget cut. It wasn't just about fewer supplies or tightening the belt. It was about survival. The board laid it out in cold, clinical words. Either Lincoln Elementary or Westside Academy had to close. Both schools served underprivileged kids. Both were vital lifelines in their communities. But someone had to make the call. And that someone was me. I spent weeks buried in spreadsheets, calculating costs, trying to find savings where none existed. I stayed late at my desk until the lights in the hallway clicked off. My secretary started finding me asleep at my desk, still in my shirt and tie, red pen in hand, drool staining the reports. I searched for miracles in numbers that refused to bend. Teachers came to me with ideas, bake sales, donation drives, volunteering extra hours, but we all knew those were drops in an ocean. Parents stopped me in the parking lot, fear in their eyes. Some begged me to keep Lincoln open. Others demanded I recommend Westside. They all had reasons that made sense, reasons that hurt to hear. One mother wept as she told me how her daughter, who struggled with anxiety, had finally found comfort in our tiny counseling room. Another father explained how Westside's newer science labs would give his son a chance at a future he never had. Every plea carved another crack into me. The school board wanted a recommendation by Friday. Thursday night came, and I was still torn. My office was silent, except for the hum of the heater. I sat with my head in my hands, drowning in guilt, when the door creaked open. It was Mikey, our janitor's son. He was a quiet kid, maybe 10, who often hung around after hours while his dad finished up. That night, he wandered into my office carrying a marker. Without a word, he went to my whiteboard and started drawing. I watched, too tired to stop him. Slowly, the lines took shape. Our school, with its crooked flagpole and sagging roof. But then he drew a giant red X slashing across it. "Everyone knows we're closing," he said, not looking up. My throat tightened. "What makes you say that, Mikey?" He shrugged. "My dad says the other school has newer stuff. Better desks, better lights." His words cut deeper than any budget report. I forced a smile, even though my heart was crumbling. "And how do you feel about that?" He hesitated, then mumbled, "This school's closer to the shelter. If we go to Westside, Mom says we can't afford the bus pass." I swear I felt my chest crack open in that moment. Here was the truth the spreadsheets could never tell me. Closing Lincoln wasn't just about buildings and programs. It was about survival, about access, about kids who couldn't walk an extra mile because they had nowhere safe to walk from. I stayed up all night rewriting my proposal. I wrote until the sun painted streaks of pink across the blinds. Every argument, every justification, every painful truth went into that document. The next morning, when the board gathered, I stood before them with trembling hands. "I recommend closing Lincoln Elementary," I said. My voice shook, but I kept going. West Side has newer facilities, larger classrooms, and better labs. My building is older, smaller, and falling apart. If we consolidate, our students will have more opportunities. I didn't tell them about Mikey's drawing, or his mother's fear about bus passes. That fight would come later. But in that room, I gave up the school I loved for the future my students deserved. 3 months later, I stood in the gym, surrounded by boxes and echoes of laughter that would never return to those walls. Teachers hugged one another, eyes red. Custodians locked up empty classrooms for the last time. I carried boxes into the moving truck myself, refusing to let anyone think this transition was just business. That's when Mikey appeared again. He was clutching something in his hand. "You're still our principal?" he asked, his eyes wide with surprise. "Of course," I said, smiling through my exhaustion. "I go where my students go." He shuffled his feet, then held out a folded piece of paper. "This is for you." I opened it. It was the drawing from that night, but something had changed. He'd erased the red X. Instead, he'd drawn a bridge connecting our old school to the new one. Across the top, he'd written in messy block letters, "We're still together." My throat closed up. "This is beautiful, Mikey. Thank you." He leaned closer, lowering his voice like he was sharing a secret. "Dad says you fought to keep the free bus program? Mom cried when she heard. Thank you for that too." I blinked back tears. In that moment, I realized something the board, the budget, and the spreadsheets had missed. Schools aren't just buildings. They're people, connections, promises. I couldn't save Lincoln's walls, but I could save its heart, and as long as I had breath, I would fight to keep that heart beating. Story: she texted your family or me. Choose now. After a small disagreement at Sunday dinner, I texted back, "Family." Then I packed her things while she was getting her nails done. When Uber dropped her off, the driver had to take her right back to her parents' house with all her boxes. I, 31, male, had been with Tara, 29, for 3 years. We'd been living together for the last 18 months. And honestly, I thought things were going pretty well. Sure, she had her moments, but I figured that was just relationships, you know. The incident that ended everything happened last Sunday. My family does dinner every week. Nothing fancy, just my parents, my younger sister Bethany, Suf, and whoever's dating someone brings them along. Tara had been coming for 2 years. The disagreement started over potatoes. Yes, potatoes. My mom made her famous garlic mashed potatoes, and Tara made a comment. "These are good, but they'd be better with less butter." I've been trying to get Devin to eat healthier. My mom, sweet as always, just smiled and said, "Oh, I'll keep that in mind for next time." But my sister Bethany, who's in culinary school, said, "Mom's been making these the same way for 20 years. They're perfect." Tara rolled her eyes. "Well, some things need updating. Not everyone needs to live in the past." The table went quiet. My dad changed the subject to football. Crisis averted. Or so I thought. After dinner, Tara was helping clear plates. Unusual, but okay. And she accidentally dropped my mom's serving dish. It shattered. This wasn't just any dish. It was from my parents' wedding china. One of the few pieces left after 35 years. My mom teared up but said it was fine. Accidents happen. Bethany went to get the broom. I saw Tara smirk. Actually smirk. On the drive home, I asked her about it. "Did you drop that dish on purpose?" "Oh my God, Devin, are you serious? Your family already hates me. And now you're accusing me of what?" "Breaking dishes for fun. My family doesn't hate you. Your sister is a little witch who undermines me constantly. And your mom is so passive-aggressive with her traditions and her family recipes like she's some kind of saint." I pulled over. "Tara, what the hell? My mom has been nothing but welcoming to you." "Welcoming?" "She still introduces me as your girlfriend instead of your partner. She never asks my opinion on anything. And don't get me started on how your dad still calls me Teresa. It's been Tara for 3 years and he's getting older. Excuses. You always make excuses for them." We drove the rest of the way in silence. When we got home, she stormed off to shower. 20 minutes later, I got the text that changed everything. "Your family or me? Choose now. I'm sick of being disrespected. Either you cut them off or we're done. You have 1 hour." I stared at my phone. Cut off my family over mashed potatoes and an accidentally on purpose broken dish. I texted back one word, family. Her response was immediate. "Are you kidding me right now? You asked me to choose. I chose." I can't believe you're throwing away 3 years over this. You're the one who gave the ultimatum. She started typing. Stopped. Started again. Then I'm going to get my nails done. We'll talk when I get back, and you've had time to think about what you're losing. Perfect. Her nail appointments took at least 2 hours with her regular girl. Sometimes 3 if she got designs. I got to work. Update 1. All right, so a lot happened after I chose family. While Tara was at the nail salon, I packed everything. And I mean everything. I'm talking about a level of efficiency that would make Marie Kondo proud. I had boxes from my recent work from home equipment upgrade, bubble wrap from Amazon deliveries, and 3 years of suppressed frustration fueling me. Her clothes boxed. Her skincare collection that took over 2 bathroom shelves boxed. Her crafting supplies she used once and abandoned boxed. The exercise equipment she insisted we needed by the door. Her collection of self-help books about toxic relationships boxed with a certain sense of irony. I even packed the succulent garden she'd started on the balcony, though I kept the one cactus that was actually mine pre-Terra. The entire process took 90 minutes. I loaded everything into the lobby of our building and gave the doorman a heads up. Then I ordered an Uber XL to arrive exactly when I knew she'd be getting back. I also did something petty but necessary. I changed the apartment's Wi-Fi password. She'd been using my Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, HBO Max, and Prime accounts for 3 years. Time to update those passwords too. At 4:47 p.m., she texted on my way back, "I hope you've come to your senses." I texted back, "Uber's outside. Your stuff is in the lobby." My phone immediately exploded. I counted 31 calls in 5 minutes. I didn't answer any of them, but I did watch from my window as the scene unfolded below. The Uber pulled up just as Tara's friend dropped her off. She stood there, fresh manicure gleaming in the afternoon sun, bright pink with little rhinestones, very her, staring at the mountain of boxes. The doorman, bless him, just pointed to me, watching from the window, and shrugged. She screamed something I couldn't hear from the 4th floor, but I saw several people stop and stare. The Uber driver got out, looked at the boxes, looked at her, and I could see him pulling up his phone, probably checking if this was the right ride. She called me again. This time, I answered, "Devin, what the hell is this?" "Your stuff. You gave me an ultimatum." "I chose. Now you need to leave. You can't just kick me out. I live here." "Actually, you don't. Lease is in my name. You're a month-to-month guest. I'm ending that arrangement. Where am I supposed to go? Your parents live 20 minutes away. I can't show up there with all my stuff. What will they think? That their daughter gave her boyfriend an ultimatum and lost." She hung up. I watched as she argued with the Uber driver, who was now loading boxes into his SUV. She kept gesturing wildly, her new nails catching the light. Finally, everything was loaded. She got in, but not before flipping off my window. Classy update 2. So Tara went nuclear, but not in the way I expected. First, the calls from her parents started. Her mom, Deb, called me crying about how I had abandoned her baby girl on the street like trash. Her dad, Robert, sent me a text saying I was no longer the man he thought I was, and that he was disappointed in my lack of maturity. I forwarded them the screenshot of Tara's ultimatum to him text. Radio silence after that. But Tara wasn't done. Oh no, she was just getting started. Day 2. She showed up at my office in the middle of a client presentation. She told reception she was my fiancé. We were never engaged and there was a family emergency. They let her up. She burst into the conference room. Tears streaming, mascara running the works. "Devin, please. I'm pregnant." Everyone froze. My boss, my clients, my teammates, all staring. "No, you're not," I said calmly. "How can you say that? Because you had your period last week. You complained about cramps for 3 days and made me buy you those specific tampons you like." The room was silent. She switched tactics. I meant I could be pregnant. We've been trying. We've never tried. You've been on birth control the entire relationship, which you remind me about monthly when you pick up your prescription. My boss stood up. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. This isn't over, Devin. Security escorted her out. My boss was surprisingly cool about it. Turns out his ex-wife pulled something similar during their divorce. Day 3. She tried to break into the apartment at 2 Poems A. Info thing is, I'd installed a Ring doorbell after she left. Should have done it sooner. I have crystal clear footage of her trying to use her old key, realizing it didn't work, then attempting to pick the lock with a bobby pin, like she's in a spy movie. She gave up after 10 minutes and kicked the door, forgetting she was wearing sandals. The hopping and cursing that followed was something. Day 4. She called my sister Bethany, trying to get her on her side. Bethany put her on speaker while I was visiting my parents. Beth, you know how controlling he is. He probably told you a completely different story. Actually, Tara, he showed us your text, the one where you demanded he cut off his entire family. That was taken out of context. What context makes your family or me choose now better? You've always hated me. I didn't actually, but I did notice how you'd criticize everything Mom cooked, how you'd make Devin leave family events early, and how you broke Mom's wedding dish on purpose. I did not. I saw you position it on the edge of the counter. Tara, I have eyes. Click. Day 5. The package arrived at my office. A glitter bomb with a note. Hope this ruins your day, like you ruined my life. Jokes on her. I recognized her handwriting on the package and had maintenance open it in the loading dock. They're still finding glitter. Glack, but at least it's not in my office. Day 6. She contacted my ex, Claire, on Instagram. Claire and I ended amicably 5 years ago. She's married now with a kid. Tara tried to convince her to expose me as an abuser. Claire screenshotted everything and sent it to me with crying, laughing emojis. Her exact message. Dude, your ex is unhinged. She really thought I'd help her. I told her you were the most boring, stable person I'd ever dated, and that's why we didn't work out. Lao, thanks, Claire. I think update 3. The escalation reached peak insanity. So, remember how Tara's parents went quiet after I sent them the ultimatum text? Well, they'd been planning. Robert, her dad, owns a small construction company. Guess who started getting 1-star reviews, claiming I'd hired them? And they'd done terrible work. The reviews were obviously fake. They mentioned projects in cities I've never been to. But it was still a hassle for him to deal with Yelp. Then Deb, her mom, started a rumor in their neighborhood that I'd been cheating on Tara with multiple women, and that's why she had to leave. How do I know? Because Mrs. The Tell, who lives next door to them and whose son I went to high school with, reached out to ask if I was okay. But the peak crazy came when Tara decided to throw herself a freedom party. She rented out a bar downtown, invited everyone we knew, and made it a whole thing. The Facebook event description read, "Celebrating my liberation from toxic relationships and choosing myself for once." My buddy Kyle went for reconnaissance purposes, and Liv texted me the whole thing. Dude, she has a PowerPoint. She's showing texts, but they're edited to make you look bad. Oh! She just said you have commitment issues because your dad never hugged you enough. Your parents are mentioned a lot. Wait, now she's crying. Now she's taking shots. Now she's crying again. She just told everyone you have a small dick. Some girl just asked why she stayed for 3 years. Then Tara left the stage. The kicker, she'd been telling everyone I was abusive and controlling. But then someone asked why all her Instagram photos from our relationship showed her happy and traveling and doing whatever she wanted. Her response? I was hiding my pain. Someone else asked why she was still trying to get back into my apartment if I was so terrible. She apparently screamed, "You don't understand trauma," and stormed out of her own party. But wait, there's more. Remember that Ring doorbell I installed? Well, it caught something interesting. Tara showing up with some guy I didn't recognize. They were carrying tools. Tools. They spent 20 minutes trying to remove my doorknob. The building security finally showed up and asked what they were doing. Tara's response? I'm locked out of my apartment. Security. Ma'am, we have you on the banned list. You need to leave. The guy with her, turns out it was her cousin Eddie, tried to act tough. You can't ban someone from their own home. Security pulled out their phone and showed them the official notice I'd filed. They left, But not before Tara screamed that she'd sue me for emotional damages. Good luck with that. Update 4. So, Tara actually tried to sue me. She found some ambulance chaser who took her case. I got served papers at work again. Really? For illegal eviction, emotional distress, defamation, theft of shared assets. That last one was interesting because we never shared assets. We never had a joint bank account, never bought anything together. Even groceries were split via Venmo. My lawyer, yes, I had to get one, laughed when he read the filing. His exact words. This reads like someone asked ChatGPT to write a lawsuit while drunk. The shared assets. She was claiming a coffee maker that I had receipts for. The couch bought before we met. 3 years of emotional labor, not legally an asset. Half the security deposit. She never paid any of it. Future earnings from the YouTube channel we were going to start. We never discussed this. We had to go to mediation first. This was an experience. Tara showed up in a full business suit, looking like she was about to give a TED talk. Her lawyer looked tired already. My lawyer opened with, "My client is willing to return the items that belong to Miss Tara." "What items?" I asked. "Exactly," he said. Tara's lawyer tried to argue that 3 years of cohabitation created a common law marriage situation. The mediator shut that down immediately. "Our state doesn't recognize common law marriage." Then Tara pulled out her evidence folder. It was something screenshots of texts where I said, "What's mine is yours," referring to pizza. A photo of us at her cousin's wedding with a caption about future plans that she wrote. Receipts for groceries she bought, all dated, and showing her buying her own specific foods. A print out of an article about financial abuse in relationships. The mediator asked her directly, "Ma'am, do you have any actual evidence of shared financial assets or agreements?" He said he loved me. That's a verbal contract. That's not how contracts work. Her lawyer put his head in his hands. Then she made a fatal mistake. She admitted on record that she'd been secretly recording our conversations for the last 6 months, hoping to catch him admitting he owes me. 2 problems with that. 1, we're in a 2-party consent state. That's illegal. 2, she didn't catch anything because there was nothing to catch. My lawyer immediately counters sued for invasion of privacy. Her lawyer asked for a recess. When they came back, he said they were dropping the lawsuit. But Tara couldn't help herself. "This isn't over." "I know what you did." "What did I do, Tara?" You made me give that ultimatum." Even her lawyer looked at her like she was crazy. The mediator ended the session with, "Miss Tara, I strongly suggest you move on with your life." Update 5. But I thought it was over after the failed lawsuit. I was wrong. Tara pivoted to a new strategy. She started dating my coworker Garrett. Now Garrett and I weren't friends, but we worked in the same department. He knew about the whole Tara situation because, well, she'd made a scene at the office. One Monday, Garrett comes in with a huge smile. "Guess who I matched with on Bumble this weekend?" I knew before he said it, "Your ex." Small world, right? She seems really cool. "We're getting drinks tonight." I just said, "Good luck with that." By Wednesday, Garrett looked stressed. By Friday, he came to my desk. "Dude, is Tara okay?" "What do you mean?" "She spent our entire first date talking about you. Like entire date. 3 hours of how you ruined her life. How your family destroyed her self-esteem. How you're probably dating someone new already. Am I?" That's what I said. And she got mad at me for not knowing. Then she asked if you ever talk about her at work. Never. That made her madder. She threw a drink at me. Water. Margarita. Yikes. Yeah. Then she asked if I could get into your office computer to check your emails. She what? I left. Blocked her number. But dude, she's now messaging me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn. He showed me the messages. They were unhinged. She was offering him insider information about my weaknesses if he'd date her and bring her to the office holiday party. We took it to HR. They added her to the building security ban list and sent her a cease and desist letter. But then came the plot twist. Tara's best friend Luna reached out to me. She wanted to meet for coffee. I was suspicious but curious. Luna looked exhausted. "I need to apologize and also warn you." Okay, Tyra's been spiraling, like really spiraling. She quit her job because she said she needed to focus on destroying you. She's living with her parents and spending all day planning things. What kind of things? She hired a private investigator to follow you. What? Yeah, but here's the funny part. The PI refunded her money after 3 days because you're too boring to investigate. His words. You just go to work, the gym, and your parents' house. I laughed. I couldn't help it. There's more. She's been catfishing guys online using your photos. Excuse me? She's making dating profiles with your pictures, matching with women, setting up dates, then not showing up. She thinks it'll ruin your reputation. That's insane, I know. I'm done with her. She asked me to put a tracker on your car. That's when I drew the line. I just thought you should know. I thanked Luna and immediately went to the police. With the evidence of the fake profiles, the PI admission, Luna had texts, and the tracking device request, I was able to get a restraining order. Final update. The restraining order changed everything. Tara was served at her parents' house. According to the process server's notes, she laughed and said, "He can't restrain true love." Her parents, however, were mortified. Robert called me that night. "Devin, I just read the restraining order. Is this all true? The private investigator, the fake profiles, trying to break into your apartment." "Yes, sir. All documented lawn paws. We failed her, didn't we? We always gave her whatever she wanted. Never let her face consequences. And now she's facing them. I'm sorry, Devin. We're getting her help. Real help this time." I appreciated that, but it didn't stop Tara's final meltdown. Since she couldn't contact me directly, she did the next best thing. She wrote a 47-page manifesto about our relationship and posted it on every platform she could find. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok as a 10p-part series, even LinkedIn. It was called The Devon Files Aita Toxic Love Story and included our first date. Wildly misremembered. Every fight we'd ever had with creative editing. Psychological analysis of my attachment issues. A detailed breakdown of why my family was a cult. Screenshots of conversations taken out of context. Her diagnosis of my various mental health issues. She has no psychology background. A conspiracy theory that I'd been planning to leave her from day one. Reviews of restaurants we'd been to together. Somehow also my fault. They weren't good. The internet's response was not what she expected. The comments were brutal. "Girl, this is why he left you." 47 pages. Touch grass. Team Devon. Imagine telling on yourself like this. "Ma'am, this is a Wendy's, my personal favorite." I've never met Devon, but I'd choose his family too. Someone found this Reddit thread and linked it in her comments. She lost it. The meltdown tweets were legendary before her account got suspended for harassment. The last I heard directly was from Luna. Tara's parents had checked her into a mental health facility for evaluation. She'd apparently been found by her mother attempting to hire someone on Craigslist to seduce Devon and break his heart. Her mom also found journals where Tara had been planning our wedding, dated from our second week of dating 3 years ago, complete with a list of my family members she'd allow at the wedding. Spoiler, none of them. As for me, I'm doing great. Started therapy to process everything. Highly recommend. Realized there were so many red flags I'd ignored. She'd joked about deleting messages from my ex. She'd thrown away a birthday card from my sister because it was too familiar. She told me my mom's cooking was trying too hard. She'd accused every female friend of wanting me. She tried to convince me my dad didn't respect me because he didn't make me join his business. My family's been incredible. Bethany made me a cake that said, "Congratulations on choosing correctly." With a little frosting, Tara getting kicked by a frosting boot. Petty? Yes, delicious. Also, yes, I've started dating again. Nothing serious yet, but I went on a date last week where the woman insisted on splitting the check and said her family was her priority too. Green flags everywhere. Oh, and remember that wedding dish broke? My mom told me something interesting. It wasn't actually from her wedding. She bought it at a garage sale years ago, but liked the story of it being wedding china better. She knew Tara broke it on purpose and was testing to see if I'd notice and stand up for her. I didn't need you to defend my dish, honey. I needed to know you'd defend your family when it mattered. Moms, man, they know everything. To everyone asking if I regret my choice, not for 1 second. When someone shows you who they are with an ultimatum, believe them. When they demand you choose between them and your family over potatoes, the choice is clear. Your family might not be perfect, but they shouldn't have to be sacrificed for someone else's ego. Thanks for following this absolute circus. I'm going to go have Sunday dinner with my family dramery for the first time in 3 years. Edit. Since people keep asking, yes, the restraining order is still active. No, I don't know if she's still in treatment. I honestly hope she gets the help she needs, but that's not my problem anymore. Edit 2. For those saying I should have seen the red flag sooner, you're right. That's why I'm in therapy. Love shouldn't make you blind. It should make you see clearer. Edit 3. My mom's making the garlic mashed potatoes for dinner tonight.